That's good. Okay, everyone, let's kick off. Thank you for joining today's seminar. Before I introduce our speaker today, I will just mention some of the other talks coming up in this biodiversity in nature series for this term. And next week we've got Mike at the same time, all the lectures. Next week we've got Mike Moorcroft from Natural England on climate change and nature recovery from global thinking to local action, describing Natural England's program of activities around nature recovery. The week after we have Gareth Williams on learning from some of the world's most remote coral reefs. A week after, we've got our own Rob Salguero Gomez on quantifying and predicting resilience. And then the week after, Rachel Carmenta on connected conservation, rethinking conservation for a telecoupled world. And then Tom Harwood on the future for nature, quantitative perspectives on land and biodiversity under global change. And I'll also mention one other event that's just gone to the diary that isn't on the program. On July the 11th, we've got a debate between George Monbiot and Alan Savory on holistic grazing, which will be at the Natural History Museum. That's bring your popcorn for that debate. If any of you followed bits of it on Twitter. Okay, so it gives me great pleasure to welcome Tim as our speaker today. Tim is Professor of Invasion Biology at UCL in London, and has a range of work on invasion biology, particularly a lot of work on birds in particular. And before that, he was at the Institute of Zoology as director, and I had a lifetime full of administration before moving in that period. So it's wonderful to have you here, and I'm particularly enthused to find out what the wonders are inside your jewel box. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I assume the microphone's working, and yeah,
that'll just
people can hear me.
So you can shoot.
Okay. So yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to talk to you today. So I'm actually really excited because this book has been 3 years in the making. So it's almost exactly 3 years that sort of set out on the process, which is coming to fruition in about 3 weeks when this is published in the UK. This I got my hands on yesterday. This is the first copy of this I've seen. And I'm really excited to talk to you about this. You are the first people that I've talked to about the book. So that's the plus. You're also the first people who have the opportunity to get your hands on copies of this anywhere in the UK. The flip side, and I apologize for this, is I've not talked about the book before. So this is the first time I've talked about it, and I have no idea how this is going to go. I've basically spent the last 3 months agonizing as to how I can possibly really cleverly summarize a 90,000 word book in a 45-minute talk. And I think the real breakthrough came last week when I realized that I couldn't. And therefore, I just wasn't even going to try. So I stopped stressing at that point. And instead, what I'm going to do is just going to, I'm going to try and do 3 things, if this works. Let's see. Well, great start. Also not a great start. Sorry, it was working. Now it's not working. Okay.
So you try that.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, so basically the talk's going to be in 3 parts. I'm just going to give you some background as to how I sort of came to be writing a book. Then I'm going to try and take you through some of the aims, what I'm trying to do with the book itself, and then just give you a very rapid overview of the structure so you can see the sorts of the scope of it and what I'm trying to cover and what I'm trying to do with it. But if you actually want to know all the details, then I'm afraid there's no alternative than to get yourself a copy. So let's start with the genesis. So actually, the real starting point for this book goes back around about 7 or 8 years when I came to UCL and I got handed the ecology field course to teach. So for many years, we took students to this place. This is Kindrogan. It's an old Victorian country house in the just south of the Cairngorms in Scotland. Queen Victoria stayed there. It's now or it was then a Field Studies Council field centre. So we would take students to this place every year, and we would introduce them to ecological sampling of different sorts. So we would take them we would do the bird censusing. We would do some